Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup.
Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings restaurant in Jessup is now open for business, practicing social distancing, but still serving that great food that Damon's is famous for. Come inside or come through the drive-thru, but Damon's is open inside and welcomes back its customers. The menu's the same, the service is fast, and the food is fantastic, and the sauces remain the same, mild, wild, insane, or inferno. The number is the same, 588-WING, 588-9464. Damon's Restaurant on West Cherry Street in Jessup. Dining room now open for business. Come on in and enjoy a great meal today.
A bank that puts people first. First Southern Bank, investing in you since 1907. Serving Jessup, Patterson, and Waycross. A true community bank led by experienced neighborhood bankers that live and work in our community. Offering competitive loan options for commercial and consumer clients. Stop by the Jessup branch and meet branch manager Mandy Yeomans and her fantastic team. Call 912-810-1540. Let First Southern Bank be your bank of choice. First Southern Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
WIFO-FM, Big Dog Country, 759, world-famous Butch and Bob Show on WIFO. Brought to you this morning by Murphy Builder Supply, First Southern Bank, and Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings.
And good morning, everybody. We got Buddy Carter on the phone with us, U.S. Congressman running for re-election. Buddy, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Bob. How are y'all?
Doing great. It's a football Friday down here, so we're excited to have it over to Pierce County for a good ball game. Should be fun. So it's always fun on football Friday. But we've got you in your running for re-election. I think we're 50-some days away from the election. Early voting gets underway in October. We just had the announcement on that, October 13th. The early voting begins up until October 30th. So I know you're in campaign mode. So how are you getting across the district with this COVID-19 pandemic underway?
Well, certainly we have not slowed down, to be quite honest with you. We've been throughout the district ever since this has been going on. Certainly we've been careful, as we all should be. We're making sure that we're wearing our masks where we can, that we're practicing social distancing, that we're watching our distance and wearing our mask and washing our hands. So we've been careful, but we've still been out and about. Of course, there's, as we all know, there haven't been very many public gatherings, and that's especially sad today when we're celebrating Patriots Day and we don't really have too many events, if any at all, that I'm familiar with, going on in the district. But nevertheless, even though we can't get together to observe that, all of us still are so appreciative to our public safety officials for all the work that they've done. And I know, Bob, you're like me. You remember where you were that fateful day and what you were doing when you heard about the plane crashing into the Twin Towers and then the planes crashing in Pennsylvania and at the Pentagon. And that's something that'll stay with us forever.
Yeah, I've noticed the flags are at half-mast today, and that's the reason why. Again, I think it's the 19th anniversary of that terrible day. So, again, I know there's a lot of events taking place for that around the country. But as you mentioned, you're in campaign mode. November will be here before you know it. Of course, everybody keeping their eye on when the debates will take place between President Trump and Joe Biden. Do you think those debates, and there's still a debate on whether or not the debates will take place, do you think they'll take place, and how do you see those playing out?
Well, first of all, I think it's a win-win situation for the president. If there are no debates, I think that's bad for Joe Biden. I think it just shows that he's avoiding the president. And obviously, they can debate in a safe way. I mean, using COVID as an excuse for something as important as this, I think is ridiculous. I mean, they can practice social distancing, they can practice everything, follow all the rules and guidelines that CDC has set forth, and still have a debate. So if Biden decides not to debate, I think it's a win for the president. If they do debate, I think it's a win for the president as well, because I think the president will eat his lunch, to be quite honest with you. I mean, from what I've seen, it is just pitiful that Joe Biden in the state that he's in right now and running for president of the United States. It really is sad to see someone who obviously is struggling and running for the most important office in the world.
Well, the COVID-19 story continues to be the main focus, and this book that Bob Woodward's got out with him releasing the tapes, the president saying he downplayed it. They knew all about it back in January. How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, again, I'm not sure the context that was spoken in. And, to a certain extent, I mean, obviously it's not the responsibility of the president or any leader to not tell the truth. We all understand that. But I think there is a place for us in leadership and to make sure that we're keeping everybody encouraged. And that's not to say that we should hide anything or downplay the severity.
Well, the president yesterday in the press conference said he downplayed it because he didn't want to cause a panic. But they said they knew about it back in January. So those were no words. Plus, he said it in the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's a legitimate concern. I mean, you want people panicking, and you want them to follow the guidelines. You want them to be careful. You want them to do what they're supposed to be doing. Yes, but you don't want panic. We don't need that. So, I just think it's a fine line there and I think maybe the president was misconstrued as to exactly what he was trying to do there. If you look at what he did do, remember that this is the president who stopped travel to China early on and took criticism from the Democrats and Joe Biden about doing just that. But he recognized early on that this was a problem. He stopped air travel to China, to and from China early on, and as I say, was criticized for that.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting race. Like I said, everybody's got their eyes on it. It's going to take place in November. The polls continue to tighten, for months. Biden supposedly had a big lead, but you look at all these battle states, the race seems to be tightening everywhere you look, especially places like Florida and things like that. So it's going to be an interesting race. You mentioned, I hear all these Republicans and Democrats both run and say this is going to be one of the most important elections we've had. But it seems like they say that every 4 years. But your thoughts on how important this election is?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Bob. Every 4 years I find myself saying the same thing. This is the most important election of our lifetime. But I truly do believe that this election in 52 days will be the most important election in our lifetime. If you look at what's going on in our country, and trust me, I'm right up there amongst them, and I see it firsthand. They're serious. They want socialism. They want they want to change the way our nation was founded. We do not need to rewrite the Constitution. What we need to do is to reread the Constitution. But there are people in Washington, there are people out throughout this nation, particularly in our urban areas, who do want to change this country and do want to change our Constitution. That's why if we don't take this seriously, if we don't get out and vote, then I'm going to tell you, socialism is right around the corner. And Joe Biden may say, well, I don't want it. Well, the Democrats want it. The socialist Democrats want it, and they are controlling Joe Biden right now. So is this an important election? Absolutely. It's the most important election of our lifetime.
Well, it's just a personal opinion, but I think if the president continues to support the flag and support the police, I think he wins. That's just me personally. I mean, I don't understand. The Democrats bother me where they don't even disparage the violence. They won't talk bad about it. It's like they make excuses for it. I mean, that stuff going on in Portland, but 90-some days, almost 100 days. What's going on in Portland? Why can't they clean that up? Can you explain that to me?
Well, I wish I could. I wish somebody could explain it to me as well, because it makes no sense whatsoever. If you do look at our urban areas that, oh, by the way, are all under Democratic control and Democratic leadership, the five main urban cities in America under Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, then you see what's happening in those areas. Now, you see the looting, the destruction, the rioting that's going on there. That's what makes me so proud about our district, in the 1st District. We had what I consider to be just an awful experience with Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick and Glenn County. That was a young man who died way too young. And what happened there should have never happened. yes, we have protested as we should, but they have been peaceful protests. And as a result of that, we're getting production now. We're getting results. And I credit that to the leaders of Glenn County and to Brunswick, to the African-American ministers, to the public officials down there who have maintained control during this time, being able to help the people understand how important it is, yes, that we protest, yes, that we not tolerate what happened here, but we do it in a way that's going to be productive and is going to end up giving us results, and it is giving us results now.
Well, there's one big distinction in that shooting. The police weren't involved in that shooting. I mean, he got shot by two people that chased him down in the neighborhood. And so, I mean, I saw where the mother of Almond Arbery got upset because some organization's trying to make money off his name, and she said they didn't have the permission to use his name. So it just seems like everybody wants to cash in on tragedy. That's a sad thing you see all the time taking place throughout the country as well.
Well, it is, Bob, and I think you make a great point there because, look, there are bad actors in every profession. We see that. During this pandemic, I just got a bill passed this week, by the way, out of my committee, Energy and Commerce Committee, dealing with pandemic scams, and it's called the Protecting Pandemic Scams Act. And, you know, even during this pandemic, we've had bad actors who've been scamming senior citizens and even regular citizens by selling ineffective personal protection equipment, by all kind of different scams. But my point is this. Are there bad actors in the police force? Yes, there are. And they need to be weeded out. There are bad actors in pharmacy. There are bad actors in medicine. There are bad actors in every profession. And those bad actors are as offensive to us in the profession as they are to anyone. Just like the bad policemen, the bad cops are as offensive to the good cops as anyone. Yes, we need to weed them out. We need to have some systemic changes in our police force. There's no question about this. But this idea of defunding the police, that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't know where they're getting that. You know, it sounds like I don't know. I told you already. I don't know if I told you. I think I told you. But this was my idea. You know, the people that want to defund the police just need to get in a database, and then when you call 911, the police don't have to respond to that address. So that's just my take on that. But and my other personal thing,
I saw something the other day where some rioters and protesters were protesting, and somebody came in and started disrupting them, and the first thing they said was, "Call the police, call the police."
You know, our morning guy, Clay Travis, from 6 to 9 p.m., he was talking about last night. I don't know if you watched. Did you get to watch the football game last night at all?
I did not. Not.
All these NFL teams are making a decision. Last night, Kansas City played the Houston Texans, and, of course, at every NFL game, they're playing the Black National Anthem first, and then they're playing the National Anthem. The Houston Texans decided not to come out for either one. They stayed in the locker room, while Kansas City came out for both, and every player stood for the national anthem except for one player on the sidelines. But after the anthems were played, the two teams stood in the middle of the field, and they were in unison, holding hands for a sign of unity. But the fans were booing, and they're trying to say that the fans were booing the sign of unity, but common sense told you that fans were booing the Houston Texans for not coming out and standing for the national anthem. I mean, people are upset about people not, they talk about it's not about the flag. It is about the flag. It was disrespectful 3 years ago. It's still disrespectful today. Why can't they understand that? I mean, if they want to stand for unity, that's fine, but why do they want to continue to disrespect the flag and say it's not disrespectful? I mean, people died. Have they ever been to Arlington Cemetery? Have they ever been to a military funeral? I mean, I don't understand why they can't understand that it's disrespectful.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Bob. And you asked me if I saw the game, and I said I did not. The reason I did not is right now I'm boycotting the NFL. I'm not watching it. And you know how much I love sports. But I am not going to watch the NFL. I'm not going to watch the NBA for different reasons. The NFL is because of what you just stated, the different anthems and them not standing for the flag. The NBA has to do with China and their relationship with China. Listen, China is no friend of us.
Yeah, that's kind of hypocritical. They talk about it on AM 1370 Fox Sports a lot, where they're taking all this millions of dollars from China, but yet they won't say anything about them. They don't boycott them.
Well, my sons, I have 3 sons, and they assure me that the Braves have not taken a knee this year. They have not had any kind of protest or anything. So I've been gradually getting back into watching the Braves, but I continue to see if there are going to be any protests. But my sons assure me that they are not protesting at all.
Well, maybe you can become a Miami Dolphin fan, because the Miami Dolphins sent out a statement that they said it's all a bunch of garbage, that it's not doing anything. They said these not standing for the national anthem and all this stuff, it's not doing anything. They say if you want to do something, put your money where your mouth is, or go sign up and become a police. And that's what people want to see LeBron James do. Give up your $1 million salary, go to the nearest police academy, become a police officer for $30,000 a year, put your life on the line, and see how you like it. Why don't they do that? I mean, if they're so upset about everything, why don't they all just give up their $1 million salaries and go sign up for the nearest police academy? That'd be a good thing. Anyway, getting back to your election, when will we see you in Wayne County? What's your travel plans for the next couple of months?
Well, we go back to Washington next Monday, and we'll be in for 3 weeks in Washington. Some very important things we've got to get done, not the least of which is to address our situation with our budget. Our budget in the federal government runs from October the 1st to September the 30th. If we don't get something done by September the 30th, we'll have a shutdown. I don't think that's going to happen. Neither side wants that. Nobody wins when you have a government shutdown. Democrats, Republicans, everybody loses. So neither side wants that. I suspect what we will do when we get back up there next week or the next 3 weeks is to pass a continuing resolution just to get us through the 1st of December. Let us get past the elections and everything, and then we'll get back up there in the lame duck session in December and decide what we're going to do with the appropriations. But we've got to get that done. So the next 3 weeks we'll be in Washington. Then we'll be out during most of the month of October and won't come back until after the election.
Let me ask you a question. Something I see all the time on my, they keep talking about this second stimulus check. They help the people that don't have jobs. What about the people that are working every day, like myself, that need some help as well? When do I get my second stimulus check? Is one coming, or is that just a fantasy?
Well, obviously this week, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate put forward a bill that unfortunately didn't pass cloture, which means they didn't get enough votes to continue on with the discussion, with the debate of the bill. So it's dead right now, but it didn't really include a stimulus in that, what was referred to as a skinny bill. A skinny bill, Bob, that was only $500 billion. Only in Washington, D.C. can you consider skinny being $500 billion. But that did not pass. Negotiations seem to be at a standstill. Honestly, I don't think you're going to see anything before the election. I don't think you're going to see another stimulus bill or another CARES package before the election. What happens in the lame duck, I'm not sure. I think it really depends on what happens with the election.
Well, watching Pelosi and McConnell, I don't think they're going to get anything accomplished the way they. I mean, that's the problem. Those two just can't even get in the same room and have any discussion. So how's anything going to get accomplished between now and the election?
Well, you make a good point, because it really is a top-down process. In other words, leadership is really crafting the framework of this. Now, that doesn't mean to say that someone like me, who's a member of Congress, doesn't have input. I can't, submit bills, because I can and I have. I've submitted a number of bills that if we do have another package, hopefully I will be able to get that legislation in the CARES package. But unless they get the framework done for it, it's not going to happen. And that's why I refer to it as a very top-heavy process.
Getting back to the COVID, right now the numbers are starting to go down in the state of Georgia. And how do you see it nationwide? Like I said, we just had Labor Day weekend. People are concerned about that. Kids are back in school. They're concerned about that. Universities are having spikes. So how do you see this? Is it ever going away? Is it going to be here forever? Is there a vaccine coming? That's one thing that we keep hearing about. The president keeps saying we may see a vaccine quicker than people anticipate. What are you hearing in Washington, D.C. about a vaccine? Is it possible we're going to see it before the end of the year?
Well, it's very possible. In fact, we've got good news about the progress that's been made with the vaccines, and I know that there are a lot of people who are concerned about the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine. I want to assure you, as a member of the Doctors Caucus, we are updated 2 or 3 times a week. In fact, I've got a call later on this afternoon with the Doctors Caucus to discuss Operation Warp Speed, which is the private-public partnership that we have with the pharmaceutical manufacturers and with the federal government to come up with a vaccine as quickly as possible. But there are a lot of people concerned about the safety and the efficacy of this. Is it going to be safe? Is it going to be effective? Well, the answer to both of those questions is a resounding yes, it will be. I've experienced this in my professional practice for years, working with the FDA, seeing new drugs come out. I can assure you that they are not cutting any corners here. Yes, they have sped up the process, and I've asked them, how is it that you can get this done so quickly when in normal times it takes, 2 or 3 times as long as what it's taking now? And the answer to that is, first of all, they've dropped everything else they're doing, and this is all they're concentrating on. That, one of my questions was, if you can do it now, why can't you do it in the future? Why can't you cut the process down? Well, in the future, we can't just concentrate on one thing. There are a number of drugs out there that are being considered and need to be looked at, but we've dropped everything, and all we're doing is vaccines. The other thing is there are usually 4 stages, and what they do is after you finish the second phase, they will say, well, you can't start the third phase until we review it, and it takes months and sometimes years to review it. Well, they've sped that up. They've said, we're going to let you go ahead and start the next phase while we review it. So that's helped, too, and they've done some things that have helped. But, again, I want to emphasize, yes, it does look like we will have a vaccine possibly before the election, and probably before the end of the year. And it will be mass-produced by the first quarter of next year. Will it be safe and effective? Again, a resounding yes. It will be safe and effective. I've seen this firsthand. I've seen drugs go all the way up to the 4th and final stage and get pulled because they were something happened and they just weren't deemed safe or weren't deemed effective. So I know the FDA is scrupulous about this.
Again, if you're just joining us on the phone with us, Congressman Buddy Carter, where's the health care debate, Buddy? I don't hear much about that. That used to be the big debate. The Democrats and Republicans used to debate health care all the time. Where's that debate, and where do we stand on that issue?
Well, I think that you'll see that heating back up the first quarter of next year. Whether the Republicans come in the office, when we get the majority back in the Republican in the House, or whether the Democrats retain the majority, I think it'll come back up. Obviously, as we all know, the main discussion here for this year in 2020 has been just COVID and the pandemic. But healthcare remains an issue, and it's still going to be debated heavily.
As we mentioned, elections just 50 some days away. The scary story that you keep hearing is that everybody's going to go vote, but they say we may not have the results of that election for days, weeks, months. Is that a possibility? And somebody told me that Nancy Pelosi might step in as president while they sit around and decide who's going to be president. Please tell me that's not taking place. Was that just, are they telling me the truth, or is that just something they've made up?
Well, first of all, the idea of Nancy Pelosi stepping in and being president is a nightmare as far as I'm concerned. Holy cow. That is really shaking me up just to think about that. Obviously, I don't.
But is that how the process works? That they sit there and trying to figure out who the president's going to be with the election? Is that what happens? That the Speaker of the House takes over? Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
Well, it would be. It really depends. I mean, it could be up to the House has decided who the next president is going to be before, but I'm not sure exactly how it would play out if we were still waiting on the results of the election. But if it were thrown back to the House of Representatives, of course, it would depend on who's got the majority at that time as to who gets elected president. Let's hope that doesn't happen. You always want the will of the citizens to be followed and not just the will of Congress.
But the way 2020 is going, you can expect anything. Like somebody said, somebody's waiting for the Loch Ness Monster to return. I mean, it's just been a crazy 2020.
Oh, it has been. What a year. What a year.
Well, hopefully, but I think there's going to be a huge turnout. Like I said, a lot of these battle states continue to tighten up. It's going to be a very, very interesting election. As you mentioned, it's a very important election, so it should be fun. Oh, one final thing. we're having an issue down here. The railroads are going to all be worked on. They're closing down all four railroads. The mayor's been battling. Why is CSX so powerful? Can you explain that to me? I know you've dealt with it in the past.
I don't think that's anything new.
I know, but I mean, tell us
the history of our country.
Why do they have so much weight? I mean, do they answer to anybody? Who do they answer to?
Well, I don't know who they answer to, but I think if you, and I know you have studied history, Bob, you see that the railroads have always had a lot of power in this country, and they continue to have a lot of power in this country. You know, we try to work with them, and they want to be good citizens, and they want to be good corporate citizens, so we just continue to try to work with them the best that we can.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a nightmare sometimes. But it's just, I feel sorry for these politicians trying to get satisfaction, like I said, but they're going to shut down all four railroads next week at one time. Should be a congested nightmare on the highways here in Jessup. So, but I know the mayor's reached out to you several times, but as he mentioned in our interview today, you know, it is what it is. We'll just have to play it out next week. Buddy, always good talking to you. Again, you're always welcome here on the Butch and Bob Show. Wish you the best of luck in the election. Again, you're in a race against Joyce Marie Griggs. Is that correct? That's the Democratic candidate. She defeated her opponent.
That is correct. Uh-huh.
That's right. She was in Jessup a couple months ago. We had a chance to meet her. So we look forward to the race. It'll be decided in November. And like I said, when you're in town, if you get a chance to stop by the studios, we'd love to have you in studio, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Bob. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Yep, always a pleasure. Thanks again. We'll be back to wrap up the Butch and Bob Show after this.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jessup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jessup. A bank that puts people first. First Southern Bank, investing in you since 1907. Serving Jessup, Patterson, and Waycross. A true community bank led by experienced neighborhood bankers that live and work in our community. Offering competitive loan options for commercial and consumer clients. Stop by the Jessup branch and meet branch manager Mandy Yeomans and her fantastic team. Call 912-810-1540. Let First Southern Bank be your bank of choice. First Southern Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings restaurant in Jessup is now open for business, practicing social distancing, but still serving that great food that Damon's is famous for. Come inside or come through the drive-thru, but Damon's is open inside and welcomes back its customers. The menu's the same, the service is fast, and the food is fantastic, and the sauces remain the same, mild, wild, insane, or inferno. The number is the same, 588-WING, 588-9464. Damon's Restaurant on West Cherry Street in Jessup. Dining room now open for business. Come on in and enjoy a great meal today.
At 8:26, we were talking before Buddy Carter called in about Welcome Back Cotter.
Oh, right.
And I thought Gabe Kaplan had been dead for like about 15 years. And who am I thinking about then that has passed away? Somebody from that show. Oh, it was Horshack.
Yeah, I was going to say Horshack.
Okay, but why was I thinking it was Gabe Kaplan? I don't know.
I want to remind people about our lineup tonight. Again, 6:30 Coaches Show, pregame at 7 from Pierce County. And no ticket sales tonight at the game, so keep that in mind. Also, a reminder, if you didn't catch the news, the mayor, you might want to catch him at 12 or 5 o'clock news. He explains that the railroad crossings will all be closed next week as CSX plans to close all 4 beginning on Monday. So
and they're going to try and do something with the light there at Pine and First to try and alleviate some of that.
Yeah, the mayor explains all that, so you can catch the news at 12 and 5, and we'll rerun his interview on Monday morning as well on the local news to let everybody know. And just how people forget things over the weekend, but Monday could be interesting.
And he also said that also on Monday, Norfolk Southern running parallel to 341 will be closed right there at Sunset Boulevard.
And he also said the Magnolia Crossing hopefully will be open by late Monday afternoon, so that would be a big help. So
can you imagine where we would be without overpasses? You'd have to either go out Sunset or you'd have to go all the way around and come back.
That's why you need the overpasses.
Yes, sir.
Good thing. Have a great weekend. Look forward to the game tonight. Again, we'll have it for you on Big Dog Country FM 105. Again, it's Coach Show at 6:30, pregame at 7 for Pierce County, kickoff 7:30, and then after the game, the postgame show hosted by Country Financial and the high school scoreboard show up to midnight here on Big Dog Country FM 105.5. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.
All right, Bob, we'll check in with you at 6:30. World-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, and First Southern Bank. Up next, an update from Fox News Radio on this Football Friday.
0 for 72 on 8 2020 Nissan models.